Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Fine OK, and I'm back with another Coach Fine video. Today we're going to be watching SoFly, a sub of mine on Twitch, play VAMANA. This is a platinum level rank game. I've already watched the game, like I said in the last video, and I watch it to make sure it's a good gameplay and whether I can talk about certain things and stuff like that. So I have watched this game. He actually ends up winning this game. Spoiler alert, but that's not the point of the video. It's to show you, to inform you about things, to help you out in a solo lane and in certain scenarios, right? So he actually ends up winning this game, and he plays pretty well. He doesn't die ever, and he doesn't really make many misplays, right? However, I think this game is good for our second video in the series because I can talk about things that he could have done from ahead, that he could have pushed his lead maybe more in certain areas, that he could have, maybe done this or that. So I think this video and this gameplay is going to be really fitting for our second video in the series, seeing as our first video was a loss and we were behind the entire game in the video, in the gameplay. So, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the same things I talked about in the last video, some new things. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the start to the game. Build-wise, where we start on the map, how we play level 1, all that kind of stuff. So as far as builds go, SoFly decided to go with the Bluestone Boots 1, which is really good. That's the meta build right now. Then he went with Health Chalice and 2 multi-pots. 2 multi-pots is really good on VAMANA because he does have the high mana cost, but you don't want to waste it on mana pots. You want the multi so you get some health regen in there as well. And then as far as relics go, SoFly went with the Sprint, which is really good against that team specifically. It's probably the best relic choice because every single one of them has a slow. Not only that, their damage is relying on slows, like a Neja 1 and a Soul 2. She won't be able to get her ult off if you're immune to the slow, right? And then also a lot of their peel is relying on slows as far as Scotty and Ganeshal and Shock slow and stuff like that. So we have the Sprint for both peeling for ourselves to get out of situations, and we also have it for the aggressive option to chase people down and stuff like that. So I like the relic choice here. Right here, I would be throwing my 3 on this Chalk. Don't know why SoFly decided not to. You can out-trade a Chalk as VAMANA because you have an attack speed slow and a movement speed slow on that first ability that you grab, which is your 3. It's also really good for clear. So since we decided not to trade with him and not throw out our 3, I don't know why we didn't walk up. We should have walked up tower way faster and thrown out our 3 while it was in tower. That way we get it off cooldown faster, and that way we can clear just as fast as Chalk. But since we didn't do that, and Chalk 1 is on a little bit lower a cooldown, he's able to out-clear us, which is the first lead. I'm going to pause real quick. Out-clearing on the first wave is the first lead you get in SMITE. That is the first lead, the first advantage that you can obtain in SMITE, especially in solo lane, right? Because we're able to go, or not we, but the person out-clearing is able to go into the jungle and hit level 2, which is a very important part of the game right now. So since Chalk was able to out-clear, he gets the first advantage, and like in any video game or any competition, sport, whatever, all the game is, the competition is trying to get more and more advantages and pushing in a lead or pushing an advantage more and more, right? Until eventually you win the game. That's how it works in SMITE. Some people call this snowball. But yeah, so Chalk gets the first lead in the game, and we'll see how it plays out. So I like SoFly's decision here to go back to the wave. We can hit 2 on just 1 minion. That's all we need. And this way we can put a little bit of pressure on Chalk, out-clear him on this wave. So we hit 2, which is good. After this, I assume we're just going to go to our buff or either chill on lane. There's some things we could do. I would go to blue here, kill the small so that we hit level 3. Because if you hit 2 smalls on the buffs, you hit level 3. Whereas if you do the 2 smalls on Ellie's, you don't hit level 3, as you can see this Chalk. He got the 2 smalls on Ellie's and did not hit level 3. So SoFly kind of wasted some time here. I'm going to pause real quick, talk about a few things. So SoFly kind of wasted some time here. I'm being very, very meticulous as far as like scrutinizing the small details in the laning phase because that's the most important part of the game, in solo at least, is the laning phase for the most part, right? And there's a lot of things you can critique. So SoFly has played this laning phase pretty well, right? But he could have played it better, and that's what I'm trying to talk about. So he could be level 3 here after hitting the 2 smalls on blues. He out-pressured him, so he has the ability to walk into the jungle and do what he wants. He has the time to do that, right? So he should have done that, honestly. And also, I'm just going to talk about this matchup a little bit. So VAMANA into Chalk, or Chalk into VAMANA, or any Bluestone warrior into any Bluestone warrior is a very, very simple, easy matchup, right? You both have kill potential on each other if you make mistakes, but you're both also very safe you shouldn't really die that you shouldn't really die ever if you know what you're doing in a Bluestone Warrior versus Bluestone Warrior matchup, right? In our last video, it was two Deathstone Warriors against Deathtoll Warriors against each other, not Deathstone, whatever. And they're both very aggressive warriors, right? So there is a lot of kill potential on each other, a lot of out-trading, a lot of outplay potential. In these matchups, nobody should really die unless you're against a weaker opponent and you can, take advantage of that. So this matchup should be simple. Only time we should really die is if we get ganked. And yeah, that's part of the reason I think SoFly did so well, is because he didn't have to play, like say he was against an Osiris as VAMANA, he might be getting out pressured a lot more. He might be in a bad situation in certain scenarios. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. So we're just on the next wave. I said I was going to be meticulous, so I'm going to be. Right here, the archers are one hit. At level 2, you leave the archers at only 1 melee to die. And instead of meleeing them and getting those last hits, SoFly decides not to, which is not that big of a deal, like I said. However, if you do this on every wave, you just let them die to your own wave, you're missing out on a lot of potential gold there with those last hits. So make sure you guys do that, because it's not a big deal. All you have to do is auto them and walk away. And then right here, instead of trying to completely clear the wave, SoFly decides to trade a little bit of poke, which I don't like, because level 4, I want to pause real quick. So level 4, your wave will do more damage to the enemy solo laner than you would ever do, right? So if you're able to out-clear him, because the Chalk didn't clear that well either, you both kind of messed up your clear. If you had focused on only clearing the wave, making sure you clear the wave perfectly, and had that whole wave cleared instantly, because at level 3 you instantly clear the wave if you have 2 points in your 3, which you should. Alright, so SoFly correctly got 2 points in his 3. If you throw out your 3 and hit the entire wave, and then hit your 2 with the entire wave, everything will die, right? Whether to Bluestone or not. So the entire wave would be cleared. So instead of focusing on the wave clear, we decided to trade poke, and we both end up trading evenly, basically. Let's see. Yeah, again, we used it on us. If we hit the second hit of the 3 there, we might have been able to kill. For some reason, I just got an invite or something. I don't know why. I'm in a spectator. So we're basically both at the same poke. If we focused on the wave, we would have out-cleared him there, because we did take a lot of minion damage because we hit him with our abilities in Bluestone and all that. So basically the point there is, especially early game, focus on clearing the wave. Do not try and focus on poking them, because you can poke them after the wave is cleared, right? So that's pretty much that. So a couple waves later, something I want to talk about that I think is pretty important, and it's a good example here is, watch how we clear the wave here. So we throw out our 3, and then we're going to 2 it, right? This is how you clear it. We instant clear. Something you guys may not notice that I think is really important is the way SoFly cleared that is, instead of walking to the right side of the wave, he walked to the left side of the wave. And this puts his back towards the jungle. So if I walk to the left side of the wave, put my back towards the jungle, and clear with my 2, if I were to get ganked there, or if anybody were to be in the jungle, I would not see them. They could get an ability off, they could gank me, and I would be susceptible to that gank really easily, right? However, if I were on the right side of the wave and I threw out my 2, and I would have my eyes on the entire jungle, all the entrances to the lane, I would have much more information to gather that I could use to make my next play, right? So if my back was towards the jungle and I got ganked, I'm very susceptible and I could die there. However, if I had the entire view on the right side, if I went to the right side of the wave and used my 2, I could see all the ganks, all the entrances, everything like that. And that's actually a pretty big deal, especially at higher levels of play. If I'm able to see where they're coming from, I can make my next play, I can back up, I can go to my own jungle, you know. It just it makes us easier to be ganked, right? So make sure you clear on the right side, farther away from the lanes. Oh, and then the last thing, of course, is that puts you closer to the jungle, right? If I clear on this right side, I'm farther away from where they are in the jungle, and that's more time for me to get away, more time for me to use an ability, you know, stuff like that. So think about that. So Kali looks for a gank, and we're able to out-pressure the Chalk a little bit, which is good because their blue's coming up. Pretty sure that Kali just speed act or something, I don't know. So we're able to get the blue because we were able to out-pressure with a gank, which is good. Chalk looks like he's coming over. Okay, so he ults. We were going to ult. Okay, I think the ult's pretty good there because you don't know where Neja is and he could potentially come over. But we do see him on the ward, so we should probably back up a little bit here because they do have kill potential now that our ult is down. I'm going to pause real quick before this gank comes off. SoFly is leveling his 2 now instead of putting 3 points in his 3. I don't like that because I think you should put 3 points in your 3 because then you'll full clear the wave with your 3, and then you can use your 2 on the enemy solo laner as burst because it does a lot of damage, right? So I like putting 3 points to my 3. It's pretty drastic how much the change is because a full clear on a wave means I can use my 2 just for poke, whereas having to use my 2 for clear. So it kind of changes how much you can like trade and how well you 1v1. So this Neja comes over to look for a gank. If he gets his ult off, so Neja ulted and Kali beats, so Neja ult is down. The only way any of us die here is if they get a really good ring toss off, and Ganesh is coming over. But without even knowing that Ganesh is here, the only way they can kill us is if they get a really good ring toss off. So let's see what happens. That's exactly what happens. But the only reason that was able to happen was because SoFly decided to walk into his Kali. The Kali that just got ganked, just had to use her beads, everything like that. Kali did have ult, so she could have survived. But you can't always expect your teammates to react that well. So basically, SoFly should not have been anywhere near his Kali. He should have maybe walked to the other side of the lane, walked toward the left side. To be fair, Kali was kind of just in the middle of the lane, so it was hard for SoFly to kind of dodge that. But he should have at least been looking to get away from her so that their ring toss wouldn't have destroyed him. Because I don't think SoFly would have any death potential here, just because Neja did just ult. He only has his ring toss up because he sash, and you still have your sprint up. So just try and make sure that you help your teammates if you can. So because of all that just happened, we're getting a little out pressured. Let's see what our gold's at. I guess it's this one. So we're at 835 gold. What I want SoFly to do is push this wave. Neither of us have kill potential on each other, really. Chalk ult is down. No way for him to kill us. I like the way SoFly played this. Unless Neja was still there, which would have been bad, and he could have easily died. But if he knew that Neja wasn't there, it was a good way to play that, because he wasn't going to die. He always had his dash up. So I want him to push that wave back and get tier 2 breastplate. Let's see what he got. Let's see. Okay, so he went for a tier 1 gladiator shield. I do like gladiator shield on VAMANA. However, if I have 1,000 gold or 950 gold, which SoFly just did, I would get tier 2 breastplate for a couple reasons. Tier 2 breastplate is much better on VAMANA because he uses a lot of mana. So the mana sustain from tier 2 breastplate is really good. It gives him 30 physical protections, which gives him power because of VAMANA passive, right? And it gives him the option to stay out of lane for a while and work up all the way to breastplate, or work up all the way to gladiator shield. So what I mean by that is he could skip going breastplate and just have the tier 2 and then go gladiator shield, which I think is a really good option as VAMANA. Or he could just say, well, I'm at 1350, I'm kind of poked, I'm just going to back for breastplate and then I'll go gladiator shield. Because I think either way, both items are really good on VAMANA, because gladiator shield gives him protections that also convert into power, so he ends up getting a lot of aggression with gladiator shield. And he procs it with every ability. Well, not every ability except his ult, but he has to stay in his ult, so it's no big deal. And then also, breastplate's really good because it gives him that mana regen, that CDR that he wants, and that a lot of physical protections, which in turn gives him a lot of power, so he can out-trade pretty well. It's a really big power spike for Mana, one of the biggest. So I would have liked to see the tier 2 breastplate here, because this doesn't do a lot for us. 10 physical power, 5 physical protection, right? Versus, what is it? 200 mana, 10 MP5, and 30 physical protections. That's much better on VAMANA. So, yeah. Builds aren't everything, but they are important, and they put you at a level playing ground. So, something along those same lines as far as builds go, guys, is in my last video and on the Reddit, people were suggesting that I talk more about my thought process behind things and not just telling you why I build something or telling you to build something, because in a couple months from now, or maybe even weeks, some items may be nerfed, the builds may change completely, and then my video and my advice will become obsolete. The things I've taught you may just not be accurate anymore, right? So what I do want to talk about is my thought process behind things and why I build things while I'm thinking it, right? So something I can teach you is, in this scenario, what we just talked about, tier 2 breastplate instead of round shield, I'm telling you it's better, but the reason, the thought process behind it, you should think every time. So the first thing you should think when building is, what can I build to complement my god's kit perfectly, to complement my god's strengths and his weaknesses, his or hers. So with VAMANA, if you read his tooltip, he has high mana costs. We know this if we're an avid VAMANA player. And he also, his passive, he gets physical power for building physical protections. So physical protections are really good, especially into another physical character such as Chalk. And then something that helps us with our mana problems is really good. So does round shield help us with either of those? It gives us physical power and it gives us 5 physical protections, so we'll end up with a little bit of physical power and a little bit of defense. But it doesn't help us with our high mana costs, and it doesn't help us with the fact that we want physical protections because it's very efficient for our kit. It doesn't do either of those things. And what is a very cheap item that does the same thing is the tier 2 of breastplate. So the thought process behind it is this doesn't complement my god's kit as much as this does, and therefore the other item, the tier 2 breastplate, is much more efficient on this character, so I should build that. So that's kind of what you should be thinking about with builds and stuff. Yes, you can read things and say this is just a better build in general right now as far as the stats and everything like that. However, something I can teach you and something that I can help you guys with in the future and make you a better player is thinking about the builds critically for your god's kit, the meta right now, and what the opponent's building, right? So if the Chalk is also going to want to go into Gladiators immediately, he doesn't have mana problems, Gladiators is really good. Well, if I can get the tier 2 or breastplate, then I'll have a power spike on him for a while, because he won't be able to afford full Gladiator shield. He'll want to go Gladiator shield, so he won't probably build tier 2 breastplate. Since I can build tier 2 breastplate, I'll have physical protections on him, I'll have power on him because of my passive, and that puts me at an advantage. So just think about things very critically and think about them in accordance with your god's kit. A couple waves later, we're out clearing Chalk. He's not even in lane. So after we out clear this, we should look for something in the jungle. We do go into the jungle. If we're looking at our map, we see that a fight's about to break out. They're pressuring our Kali and our Khepri. Okay, so instead of going towards this fight, we decide that we're going to try and trade this Chalk who's sitting under tower and who has sustain. Yeah, I don't like this decision making right here, SoFly, because if you were keeping focus on your map, making sure that you were able to rotate over if there were a fight to break out, because you did out clear the Chalk, right? The whole point of out clearing somebody is that you can take advantage of it and be somewhere else on the map while you don't have to get farm. It's the perfect opportunity for you to do that. So you kind of go towards this Chalk instead of going to the fight. Let's see what you do now. You do notice on the map now that, hey, this fight's actually lasting pretty long time. Let me go try and help out. We already used our Khepri and our Kaliel, which kind of sucks. However, if you were already here, you definitely could have gotten kills. I don't think you're going to get a kill now. They're going to have their abilities back up. They're going to be able to get out pretty easily. Chalk's going to be here. Chalk's behind you. You're chasing this soul. I don't really like it. You're never going to kill this soul. It's not really that big of a deal. You expend your ult for it. You come back to this Neja. I would have liked the Neja to be the target because he didn't have speed, and Neja doesn't really have any mobility. No real peel for himself, right? If you can get on him with his ult down, he's pretty much a free kill. So basically, the thing to learn here was that you should have rotated the fight immediately. If you kept eyes on your map, you had the out clear, you should have rotated over pretty much instantly. You do kill Neja. The way you played that was really well. You hit your double tapped and you canceled your dash to get damage and auto off. You had to expend your sprint for it, but that's no big deal. So always keep your eye on the map. If you do out clear your enemy solo laner, look for the advantage elsewhere on the map. If there's nothing going on, I do like the thing that you did, which was try and poke him, try and get some poke on him so that you can keep out pressuring him, right? However, if there's things going on the map, make sure you're there because you do have the advantage of not having to farm at that moment. So, alright, so this is where all the fun begins. We both have Gladiator shield. We both do a lot of damage. This is where trading soul is really fun. So we didn't clear the entire wave. We should have cleared the entire wave. We took a bit of damage from archers here. We're actually getting out traded because he is able to have sustain from his 3, right? Now that sequence of events was kind of fun. We missed our 3. Chalk missed his 2. We decided to ult because we were afraid that if the 2 hits, we're going to be really low. However, we were losing that trade to begin with. The only reason that we were able to do well here is because he didn't full clear the wave. I don't know how this happens. I guess this is just a product of like at least lower levels. Is the waves aren't always cleared. Like his archers weren't cleared and you guys were trading, and your archers weren't cleared and you guys were trading. So you're both taking minion damage for no reason. You're both not fully clearing the wave on characters that can easily full clear the wave, right? So basically the thing to note is make sure you're clearing the waves before you try and trade poke, unless it's so obvious that that you can just destroy them, like they're just taking a lot of minion damage or whatever. And also make sure you recognize when you're getting out traded, right? I'm pretty sure this Chalk ult's here. Yeah, this Chalk ult's. I don't think he needed ult. That was kind of a waste. He's just making you regen more. I guess he thought maybe Ganesh would be over. We just backed. Chalk's still in lane. He's going to out pressure us and put a minion wave under tower. I think SoFly decides to rotate here into mid lane instead of going right, so his wave's going to be under tower, so he's going to lose out on a little bit of farm. But if he's able to impact this team fight, it should be good. He's looking straight at Scotty, which is really good. He saw that Hachiman was flanking, so he needed to go on that back line. Hachiman's kind of just destroying. He's 3-0, up 2 levels. Kind of wasted our ult. We didn't need to waste our sprint here for sure. We're not going to catch this Neja with the speed buff. So we kind of wasted our sprint there when the soul was on our backline the whole time. Didn't need to chase that. I do that sometimes in 2 in rank because I'm just like thirsty for kills. Hachiman had the best autos I've ever seen. Hit every single auto on that character. So we did impact that team fight pretty well. Hachiman was more of the sole reason that we won it so hard. But because we were able to do that and Chalk had a really late rotation, we're able to force Portal now, which is good. We decided to go on this Chalk. Just good, he ults. We waste our thorns there. I said this in my video yesterday, and I'll say it again. Using your thorns on the enemy soul laner is very bad. Not only because they have the some magical D, they don't have it yet, but eventually they will. But because they're not going to be putting that much damage out that like the thorns reflect is going to do a whole lot. So it's kind of a waste. So we wasted both our actives here when we didn't need to. So this is just about getting better at everything, right? So just think about well, I'm not going to kill this Neja. There's no reason for me to sprint. This Thorns is going to do nothing to this Chalk, so I'm not going to use my Thorns. So if we had both these actives up still, we'd be in a better spot. I'm going to go ahead and click play, though. So at this point in the game, we just get Portal. Our Hachiman's huge. Farming, now 3 levels ahead. If this Hachiman plays well, this game's pretty much over. He can carry pretty easily, especially in a ranked game like this. We're going into Breastplate or Height of the Nemean. I like Breastplate more because the cooldown. I love full cooldown of VAMANA. Just more dashes in team fights, more threes, more huge bursts off your 2. You're just able to get around the map faster as well, just because you have that full cooldown and you can spam your dash all around the map. So let's see how much gold we have. We're at 1300, so we can get Breastplate off after this wave. Okay. So we want it back, right? We want it back because we have 1400 gold. We want to either get High the Nemean or Breastplate. The Chalk knows that, and he doesn't want us to leave the lane. He's full health. He can outpressure us. He can do whatever he wants. So he's going to keep stopping our back. So we should not be backing at the front of this tower here. We should have ran all the way to back to the tower and started backing so that he couldn't mess with us, jerk us off until he eventually got frustrated and stayed. He's just waiting for these waves to come so that we will miss a wave. This is smart by the Chalk. This is good. He keeps stopping our back. It's annoying for us. But what we should have done is walked all the way back to our tower and just backed. So now we're going to miss this wave. It's not that big of a deal. We could have pushed our lead even more if we had looked for things like this, if we had pushed that wave. That's the reason this Chalk is even. I know it sounds weird, but because he's able to do stuff like that. So we go for High the Nemean. Hachiman just got another kill. This game is pretty much over. I did watch this over, and the team fights aren't even that good. So I'm probably not going to talk too much more about this game. We'll see. So as you see, guys, we're not in the game any longer. Right after that last clip, we're able to get a couple picks, just random because it's ranked, random picks, and we're able to get FG off of it because the other team wasn't paying attention. So we're at 5K at 16 minutes with the FG. The team fights from there on should be easy. Basically, you're just going to push tier 2s, get the gold, spend it, and then push Phoenixes because you're going to be really far ahead at that point. So you shouldn't really have a problem pushing, and there wasn't really anything to critique or learn from after that. So I decided to end it there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was more focused on the laning phase and some small details and stuff because SoFly did play it pretty well, like I said, and he ended up winning the game, and he didn't die ever. So he did his job for the most part. Just some things he could have cleaned up here and there. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought. Hopefully you guys learned something. Let me know if you did learn anything, what you learned, stuff like that. Comment it down below. And of course, as always, give me some advice, some feedback for these videos, what I can improve on. I'd very much appreciate it. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you in the next Coach Fine video. Peace out.